this regular council meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Mr. Gaelic, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for a moment, please. Heavenly Father, we ask that you continue to keep our residents, our staff, our employees, and our police officers and all first responders safe and in good health. We ask that you grant divine wisdom to Mr. Tim Hicken, who hopefully will be our new administrator tonight and for the city, and also to Mr. Brandon Gaelic, our newest councilman. May you bless and guide all of us here tonight in our quest for the best decisions for our Pataskala. And we ask for all of this in your holy name. Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, Kathy, roll, please.
Carter.
Here.
Walther.
Here.
Epperson.
Here.
Barstow.
Here.
Hampshire.
Here.
Gaelic.
Here.
Lee.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum present. First thing on the agenda tonight, yes?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Point of order. I have two motions I would like to make as they relate to the agenda. So the first motion is I would like to move to, in 8B, Resolution 2020-35, to move it up to 6A. That's my motion.
Okay, got a motion, need a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Carter. Discussion and roll.
Walther.
Yes.
Epperson.
Yes.
Barstow.
Yes.
Hampshire.
Yes.
Gaelic.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Okay, what number again was that, Mr.
It's going from 8, it's in section 8B. This is Resolution 2020-35. It's now moved up to 6A.
Okay, very good.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I have another motion.
All right.
I'd like to move item 8C, a motion under item 8C up to item 6A. That's my motion.
You actually don't have to move that motion. You actually don't need that motion because the resolution 2020-035 has two parts to it. Section 1 is council's confirmation of the mayor's appointment. The second one is the the authorization for the mayor to sign the contract. So you don't actually have to have that motion.
8C is redundant.
8C is redundant.
I'll withdraw my motion then. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so we don't
Thank
need to
you, Mr.
bring that
Zets.
up under motion?
You do not. Once the resolution, if it passes, that will confirm it and authorize the contract.
Okay, so the only thing we're doing is moving 2020-35 to 6A.
Correct.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Zets.
Okay, introduction, discussion, and approval of consent agenda matters.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Barstow and seconded by Mr. Epperson. Discussion and roll.
Carter.
Yes.
Walther.
Yes.
Epperson.
Yes.
Barstow.
Yes.
Hampshire.
Yes.
Gaelic.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Okay, consent agenda passes. On to reports. Due to Mr. Barstow's motion, 2020-35, a resolution confirming the mayor's appointment of Timothy O. Hicken to serve as the next city administrator and authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an employment agreement with Timothy O. Hicken.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Carter and seconded by Mr. Barstow. Discussion? And roll.
Epperson.
Yes.
Barstow.
Easiest vote in 7 years. Yes.
Hampshire.
Yes.
Gaelic.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Walther.
Yes. All right, resolution passes. I believe Mr. Hicken, we're going to stop for a second and swear in Mr. Hicken, and then he will return to the conference room and continue with the meeting so that we don't go over our 10 folks per room. So that's fine, Mr. Higgins. And Mr. Zepf, would you kindly exit while we do this really quick?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. No, I'll get you back. Right here is fine, so everybody can. Well, you missed it. We just had a resolution authorizing my choice, and council has approved it. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank you
our
very
new
much.
administrator, and normally we don't do this. Kathy told me that it's proper that we swear you in. So if you would, what is it again, Mrs. Carter? Right hand on the Bible, left hand in there?
Bible, right hand in there.
All right. After 10 years,
Every time.
thank God you're here. I,
I,
Timothy O. Higgins,
Timothy O. Higgins,
do solemnly
do solemnly
and sincerely
and sincerely
promise and swear
promise and swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will conform to
that I will conform to
and uphold
and uphold
the Constitution
the Constitution
of both the United States of America
of both the United States of America
and the state of Ohio,
and the state of Ohio,
and will support the Charter
and will support the Charter
and all ordinances
and all ordinances
and resolutions
and resolutions
of the great city
of the great city
of Pataskala, Ohio.
of Pataskala, Ohio.
I will be loyal
I will be loyal
and with strict adherence
and with strict adherence
obey the duties of my office
obey the duties of my office
set forth by law
set forth by law
and the will
and the will
of the citizens
of the citizens
of the great city
of the great city
of Pataskala,
of Pataskala,
Ohio.
Ohio.
So help me
So help me
God.
God.
Congratulations. We just did this.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Our new administrator, awesome. And sign these for me real quick, sir.
As you do.
All right. Mr. Zetz has the door for you, and congratulations.
Thank you very
sir.
much. I'll be participating from the other room.
Very good. All right, I think that's all the pomp and circumstance.
I think that's enough. That's enough, Mayor.
That's enough, okay? All right. Reports. Mr. Barstow, what do you got for me?
Mr. Mayor, do you have anything else?
No, go ahead. I'll speak
All right.
later.
A couple things, thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple things. First of all, the charter requires that we appoint a charter review commission starting in October, actually it's October of 2019. So we're a little bit behind, but we're going to get there. Even if we had appointed somebody, I don't know how much work they would have gotten done with all this that's going on. So again, this is council. This is need names. They do have to be a registered voter here in the city. No time frame, just have to be a registered voter here in the city. To be on the Charter Review Commission. So start thinking about people that you would like to, Mr. Walton.
I was just going to ask a quick question after you're done. Are we going to are we going to do it in similar fashion to what's been done in the past, where each council person nominates somebody to be on the committee?
Correct.
So it'll be a committee of 7?
Correct. It'll be a committee of 7. Each council member gets one. Thank you, Mr. Walton. Each council member gets one pick, and then council will approve those, and then the mayor will give that commission its charge, which is in the charter, but then they'll start to meet. When, who knows, but we'll at least try to get them going. So, Kathy?
We will need to, their first meeting needs to be advertised in the newspaper prior to, so we need to leave that amount of time to get it in the paper
So, yeah,
as
so-
we plan that meeting.
Right, but who knows when, who knows? We'll just have to see, but we need to start thinking about getting somebody, getting our 7 folks in more handy.
So your time frame for getting nominations, is it next meeting?
Yeah, if you have somebody by next meeting, let's try to get it done, and, let's see. The governor has talked about May 1st starting to reopen things, let's just see what happens. But let's start thinking about it, because if things get reopened more quickly than we thought, then we can start moving along. So, if the problem is that, I believe any charter changes have to be at a general election. I don't believe it can be a special or a primary. Is that
That's
correct,
right.
Kathy? So I don't know if probably will not make the November election. It's just probably not going to happen, so we'll just have to wait. But we had a very good charter review last time. There's some things, but I don't see anything that's really pressing. I know Mr. Walton is on that commission. I think there's pretty thorough review, so I think there's nothing pressing that I'm aware of.
And I think you probably still have all our notes, and I certainly have my records from that. More than happy to share those with whatever committee comes up.
Yeah, great, thanks. So let's just start thinking about that. The other thing, Mrs. Carter and I have been going over the committee assignments. We were texting through the day, and then we did speak this evening, so we have that finalized. I can rattle it off if you want. We're going to get it out to you if anybody's curious. No, okay, we'll get it out to you as quick. I'll get out an email this evening. Not a whole lot of changes. We tried to. Nobody's not that curious. So, we try to keep things as stable as we could. I'll get that out. It'll come out this evening or first thing tomorrow morning. So that's all I think.
Yeah, Todd, speaking of the charter review, is it next year when we have to do the ward update? So is that appointed the same way?
Yes.
One per council member?
One council member gets one appointment. So thank you, Mr. Lee.
Because the census, right?
The census will be concluded, we assume.
We
hope,
assume.
This year, the decennial federal census. And at some point, we will get a report from, Kathy, does it come from the state down through the county? Is that how it comes?
That I'm not sure.
We end up with a report that tells us the population, and then we have to appoint a commission to look at the boundaries, the ward boundaries. I don't think they have to make any decisions, but they may. We've had growth in some areas, so we'll see.
So that wouldn't be till next year?
That's not going to be until next year. We have to get the report, and then
Thinking
we'll
of
wait until, it's not going to be till next year. Right. So
I believe whatever decisions they come back, their recommendations, we have to adopt those. We don't amend those.
Okay. That's correct. Yeah, I think the mayor, the mayor was on that. So we have plenty of experience with Mr. Walker, with the charter review, and the mayor who's on the census, the board committee, so we have plenty of experience on how to.
Wards and bounds.
Wards and bounds. So those are two things to be, opponents are thinking about. Okay? Again, congratulations to Mr. Hicken and to Mr. Galick for officially joining us this evening. So very good. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Hicken.
Mr. Zetz?
Nothing, thank you, Mayor.
All right. Mr. Hicken, just in time. Do you have anything as the administrator you'd like to pass on?
No, I would just say I'm very grateful, and Chris and I set it up so that since he set the meeting up last week, he would go ahead and handle the administrative duties, and I'm going to chime in when necessary, but he's got a couple things lined up, I think, so.
Very good.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Chris, if you have anything administration-wise, did you want to cover that now?
I do thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to give an update on the Main Street project. We are getting quotes from Quality Landscaping and CS Electric to do the yard and sidewalk repairs left over for the project. Anticipate having this quote later this week. So that we're getting everybody's yards back to normal. That will include, we are able to do the yard restoration, the underground lines, before the poles get pulled down Main Street.
Just heading out.
Okay, we lost you, Chris.
Can you guys hear him?
No.
No.
Hey, Chris, hang on for a second.
You guys must be too close to each
I think
other.
we might have lost you.
Well, and,
Is that right, council?
Yes.
okay, so can we just do a quick, some quick, cleanup real quick? If you're not speaking, make sure you put your speaker on mute so we can't hear your background noise.
We're working on it.
And then Jamie, you just sent us a request to enable our microphone?
Participation request. We got a participation request from Jamie, Chris.
You want me to call him and hold the sign about that?
Mel's got to turn back on. Do you guys hear me in council?
Yes. A little louder.
Yeah.
Okay. So I did a quick update on the AED's restoration, and I wanted to give an update on the Sterling Theater air conditioning project. The OFCC is the organization that issues that grant, and they are in contact with me. They have changed the project start date to June 1st, but there is no problem if they use the lease funds earlier, we can start earlier. And they're leaving the project open until December 31st of this year. So they still anticipate giving us the grant for the AC as soon as they get back to normal and can issue funds.
Awesome.
The last thing I did update was the sign at the old town hall. CS Electric came out today. They did hook up the electric to the sign and installed the new floodlights at the base of the sign. So that should be lit up tonight. I'm sure it'll look lovely. The sign's pretty good. Unlit, so I'm sure that's going to help with the aesthetics out there. Outside of that, that's all I really had for the administrative report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Anything for Chris?
Is the power poles on Main, did I see them, were they starting on that? It looked like they might have been.
Power,
They are ready to go. They did not have a timeline for me, but last I looked at it was Friday. They were scrambling to get the right person to schedule it.
Okay, so they were doing something.
Exactly what their schedule is.
Chris, I don't know where you're standing. Do you have some scanners or something in the background with you?
Is there,
Yeah, we can hear the,
so I think I'm echoing in the hallways here. Is this any better?
yes.
anything else for Chris? All right, thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
We'll see you here right after Mr. Nicholson. Mr. Nicholson, what do you got for us?
In my report, and a lot of feedback here.
It's me, and Chris.
Anyway, the April collections have come in, income tax collections, and they were about where I expected them to be. Again, remember, there is a lag. Individual earnings ended up collecting the revenue. There, that may be better. So I would expect we'll see a sharp fall off in May. I've talked with Mr. Barstow. We may want to consider having a finance committee either late May or maybe even early June, once we get the June collections in as well, giving us a little better data, just to kind of bring everybody up to speed quickly with what's going on. Again, we're still kind of waiting to see what's happening. Rita has given us all a tool that allowed us to play some what-if scenarios with our collections. And I think in my report, we ran some ranges. So, for example, we looked at like in this month and the next 2 months, so months 4, 5, 6, and then months 7, 8, 9, and then months 10, 11, and 12. So let's assume for the first scenario, a 25% reduction in the first 3 months, a 15% reduction, and then a 5% reduction. And clearly, I don't think that's very optimistic. That's light. That would cost us about $360,000. And if you range it up to, if the first 3 months, for example, if we see a 65% decline, which given the number of people probably not being paid out there right now, and unemployment is not taxable, is my understanding. So, it could be as much as $700,000 for the remainder of this year. So we're going to try to stay as close on hand on that as we can. budget. I think we're going to have to take some very, very conservative looks at revenue and fund balance to find out what services, what projects, and the like can be funded. You clearly have some built-in step increases in contracts for steel workers and non-union. The FOP and OPBA, we renegotiated with the FOP for the last 2 years of the contract. We got a lot of stuff on our plate right now. I just wanted to let you know that we are watching it very closely. Unfortunately, it hasn't impacted the collection yet, but it will very, very quickly. We're wrapping up the year-end financial reporting. Should have the CAFR wrapped up and then audit here within the next month. So that's a good thing, and then we start into 2021. And I think that's all I have for right now.
All right, anything for, yes, go ahead.
Unemployment compensation is definitely taxable under Ohio and federal law.
Microphone is turned off, and council will digital.
Mayor turned it off.
Can you hear us?
Technology is great.
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear now?
Little microphone. What is it?
Now?
My microphone's off up there.
Is it, it's
Yeah.
right?
Up there?
Yeah.
Hang on.
Council, it looks like my microphone is turned off.
There it is.
Now?
Can you hear now, Chris?
Yes.
Okay, Jamie, unemployment compensation is taxable under Ohio and federal law. Okay? I don't think they can you guys hear? No?
It's cutting in now.
Yeah.
Unemployment compensation is taxable under Ohio and federal law.
Is it?
Yes.
I
I don't know about our code, but
You're probably correct. I guess I was confusing that with the stimulus checks. Stimulus checks will not be taxable.
right. The problem is collecting because JFS doesn't withhold tax. They only withhold federal tax if you ask, but they don't withhold state tax, state income tax. So we'll have to see.
Okay, anything else for Jamie? All right, Chris, you're back up. Utility Director, Chris? Chris, you're back up. Chris, can you hear us? Looks like a mug shot there. Chris, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, you're back up.
You're on for utilities.
Sorry about that.
That's right.
I feel like I need to put on a tray.
Wanted to give a quick update for the Construction Administration and Construction Inspection of the WRF project. As a part of the utility committee meeting, we discussed trying to save some money in that field, seeing if there were things that we could cut from the scope, trying to save money. And I didn't really feel comfortable cutting things from the scope, but I had some conversations with Paul, and they agreed to reduce the cost of the full scope by 5%, which works out to be just under $5,000, $4,850. I just wanted to mention it to council because Paul was under contract already for their previous price and still willing to offer us a discount to get through the COVID-19 situation. midnight on April 13th. The hydrant snapped off at the feeder pipe, did not break away as they normally do, and we lost about 200,000 gallons of water in just under 2 hours. The tower was dropping like a rock. We were able to come in, isolate the leak with a control valve for the hydrant, and repaired that hydrant the next morning. We did calculate all the costs for the overtime. We calculated the using the out-of-town rate for the water loss and the emergency bill from the Ventura Brothers to come in and do the dig, and submitted that to the insurance company of the gentleman who hit the hydrant. So we're still waiting to hear back from them on that particular issue. Just 1 second.
Hey, Chris, can I ask you something about that one?
Yes, sir.
So that would have been the sheriff's department? That sounds like that was in Beechwood Trails?
Yes, sir.
So
Lincoln County Sheriff's Office responded.
Okay, so we'll be able to get a police report, insurance, and all that stuff taken care of, right?
Right. I've already put a phone call into them and some emails. As soon as it's available, they're going to send it to us. Janice is doing the same thing. So between the two of us, it won't fall in the cracks.
Very good, thank you.
Yes, sir. I wanted to mention revenue. We did a billing cycle was going through. I still want to put a caveat that it's early in the COVID situation. But at this point, we have not seen an increase, an abnormal increase in people not paying their bills. Obviously, we're not doing turnoffs, but everybody is following a good financial practice and it appears to be paying their bills so they don't have a backlog of consumption rates once all of this stuff is lifted back to normal. So again, very early, but we have yet to see any significant drop-off in revenues from the utility departments. The last thing I wanted to mention was we have offered the treatment plant superintendent position to Mary Ann Biggins. She accepted. Her first day will be May 11th. She's currently the operator of record for Utica, and is going to give them, we made a good talk back and forth, and we're going to give them a month's time to try and replace her before she comes. So May 11th will be her first date here. So I'm actually pretty excited about her. She's very smart in the industry. She's pretty well known to people in the industry, so I'm glad that I was able to scoop her up. So, outside of that, don't have anything else. We have to answer any questions.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of feedback on your end, too. Any questions for Chris?
I do, just real quick on that fire hydrant, Chris. Was that like a faulty fire hydrant, or do we know why it didn't break away like it was supposed to?
I think it was because the ground was soft on the section.
Okay, I just wanted to,
Base.
all right, just want to make sure we didn't have to check fire hydrants and see if this was an issue or something maybe that would be worse.
No, most of them are no problem. The ground soft is a lot of the angle of the car coming in.
Okay.
Because it's not, it's kind of coming downhill a little bit. I think he may have got below the brake ring when his car hit it. So I don't think we have to worry about it. They kind of fluke.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
I have a question.
Yes.
Chris, you said you've already been in touch with the insurance company?
Yes, we've been in touch with them. They have a claim started. They know what our costs are going, and Janice has taken over from there. So that was all the day that we made initial contact with them and submitted our expenses.
Okay, I was just gonna make sure, they had sufficient limits, and that sounds costly.
It was altogether just under $400,000. Luckily, we reused the hydrant, so that would have been an additional $25,000.
Okay.
Kind of broke up, what was the total?
$3,400.
$3,400? Okay. Sounded like a lot of water, so I didn't know until, yeah, 3,400. Okay, anything else for Chris? Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Mr. Haynes?
Thank you, Mayor. I have 3 resolutions on for tonight. The first one is 036. That's to award the street program for City Hall. About $120,000 for that in our budget amount. So the base bid is, of course, Pat Haven Drive, Middle Street, and Creek Road. That was $527,000. Also requesting to do alternates 4, and 5, which is Melody Lane and Blacks Road. Blacks Road was originally included in our base bid, but we moved it to an alternate because we thought it might not fit in our original budget. So with this, with the numbers that they got, that would fit in our budget amount of $650. That's gonna be Blacks Road, and then Melody Lane is the last road in the Oak Haven subdivision that hasn't been paved. So Oak Haven is over Pat Haven and Oak Meadow and some of the other cross streets are. So it'd be nice to get that one done and be done with that subdivision. Again, all that fits in the budgeted $650,000. Also requesting that we do the rest of Mill Street. So the base bid is from Columbia Road to the bridge over the Muddy Fork. And then this would cover from the bridge over the Muddy Fork to State Route 310. That would take the total amount to $710,000. Of course, that's where the supplemental ties in. We were originally requesting $200,000 in that supplemental to try and cover some of these things. Now I'm just requesting that we use $60,000 of that. And then, of course, on the supplemental, that's basically just moving from our savings to our checking, and that would still require council authorization to use that remaining money. Being that's the third reading, I don't think we want to change that. Just leave it how it is.
We lost you.
Looks like they lost us to the red zone.
I feel like,
I wonder if Chris has control.
He's frozen right now.
Try, can you
so
hear
I
us?
feel like it's happening, like it's timing out or something on this speaker.
Try again, Alan.
He can't hear us.
He can't hear us, Mayor.
Okay. Well, Chris?
He doesn't know which one you're looking at. Dongle 1 connecting.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
All right, we can hear us.
So,
Like Keto.
Is that trying to?
our new speaker is having some technical difficulties.
Okay,
It's no his fault, it's just for both sides.
go ahead, Alan.
Okay, so did you catch all of that on the Shelley Company?
Yes.
Okay, so the next resolution is for the Prime Construction to do the CA work on the street program. I did look for other construction administration companies for a couple of the other projects, Safe Travel Plan, Phase 3, and also the Taylor Road project, which we, of course, may or may not do at this time. But for the streets program, I do want to stick with Prime. They've done it for the past several years, done a great job, and it's not an ideal project to try out a new company on. So I would like to go ahead and move forward with Prime on that. And then finally, the Taylor Road Trail, we just received an invoice from ODOT telling us that the project is $35,000 and change over. That is, of course, in accordance with the agreement that we signed with ODOT for that project. They have a maximum amount, and they can spend more than that if they deem necessary. So again, that's all an agreement. Fortunately, we budgeted, we pulled a PO from the 2019 budget for $50,000, anticipating that either the Taylor Road project and/or the Main Street Phase 2 project would go over budget. So this is using about $35,000 of that. I don't think we really have a choice but to pay it. So good news is we planned for some of that. And then finally, the Town Street project. Of course, anytime you dig in the Old Village area, as I'm sure Chris can attribute, we've run across a few pipes that we did not know were there. But so far, I'm comfortable that all that is within the contingency that we've built into the project. And we're just getting into High Street now, so we're almost halfway there. Aside from that, happy to answer any questions.
Does that complete Mill Street? It's all, every piece will be paved then?
I'm not sure when Broad Street to Columbia was paved, but it's still in pretty good shape. So effectively, yes.
Okay. Anything else for Alan? Yes.
Alan, quick question on the Taylor's path. The extras or the overages, have you reviewed those? Do you know what those items are?
I have reviewed that. It all looked legitimate. They didn't give me a lot of detail, but they did give me detail that I did look at.
Are these quantities of asphalt quantities or excavation quantities? Just trying to get an idea of what the overages are.
It looked like it was mostly outside outside of the original scope, so some change orders and enforced account work where they ran into things that weren't included in the plans.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Anything else for Alan? Okay, Scott is having technical difficulties, and he's gonna call me, and we're gonna put him on speakerphone. So as soon as he calls me, we will do that, but in the meantime, we'll move on to Mr. Crawford. And Lanier, I may interrupt you if Scott calls, okay, and we'll go back to you. I just trying to get it all done in a timely manner.
Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself.
All right, first thing I'd like to touch on, tonight we have a resolution to.
Hang on. Scott's here right now, so.
Go back to mute, Lanier.
Hey, Scott. Go ahead, you're on speakerphone.
Okay, hello everyone. What's that?
Tell him to turn off his Facebook Live.
Yeah.
That's what they hear in the background.
Yep. You guys need to turn your mics down. Turn your mics down, guys, so we can hear Scott.
Scott's hearing
It's
this.
Scott's fun.
Scott needs to turn this.
Scott-
Scott needs to turn off his own computer.
Hey, Scott?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I apologize, having some technical difficulties, couldn't get things to work, so I just want to highlight a few things from my report.
Go ahead.
We have ordinance 2020-4365 on tonight's agenda. This is to establish the Economic Development Director position.
Okay.
Then we have resolution 2020-039, that is the contract with OHM to continue with work on the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
And finally, there was some discussion of moving forward with the distressed properties ordinance on Pataskla Square. I went to update council, let them know that I heard from the owner, I think it was last Friday. They were going to have a environmental assessment on Saturday, and then they expect to have a report on the environmental assessment within the week. So once I hear back from that, I'll keep everyone posted.
All right. Anything else?
That's it. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Scott?
Scott, where are we at with the job description on the economic development? That's done.
Yeah.
It's been completed, it's been approved by PBR, and comments from the development committee came in, so it's ready to go and on. It's ordinance 2020-4365.
And
Okay.
PBR,
I apologize.
Yeah,
Scott, I'm sorry.
it's attached, because it went to PBR and it's been approved, that's why it's attached to the legislation.
No, I saw that it was attached. I didn't catch the PBR. I assumed they passed it.
They did.
Okay, it's fine.
The 14th, I think?
Yeah, I knew that, I saw the job description. I just didn't.
Yeah, was it, if it was passed, okay, thank you.
Consider it.
Any other questions for Scott? Thank you, Scott. Good night.
Thanks, folks.
Yep. One way to skin a cat, huh? Okay, Lanier, back to you, sir.
All right, I would like to, say that tonight we have a resolution to award, our Liberty Park project to Builderscape. That's 2020-029. That project will consist of a shelter house, a walking path just around the open field area. We did place in 2 alternates. Alternate 1 was the parking lot extension, and alternate 3 was the installation of 4 to 5 playground amenities that will go inside of the wooded area. Next thing I would like to touch on is that we are actively engaged in a collaboration with the County Park District and also the T.J. Evans Foundation. The County Park Director, I think he's been in contact with our legal counsel, and he's biting at the bullet about the agreement as to how fast we are moving, when the agreement will be confirmed in some ways. So we'll just wait it out by ear, but I have been actively obtaining estimates for that project at Foundation Park, whether we do a project this year, and I don't think that will be possible with the financial revenues that we may not get in this year, so but it hopefully
question from the public. What's the status of the pool opening this summer? What's your prediction or prognostication?
The status of the pool is up in the air at the moment.
Okay.
I'm working on an update right now that I have in front of Chris and also Mr. Dickon. I'm hoping to have that out to you guys by the end of the week. But as of right now, starting this week, I am beginning that prep. Tomorrow, thanks to the streets department, they have allowed for me to utilize their pumps. So we'll have that pumped out tomorrow, and I will begin to get it going. In regards to opening, we're just playing by ear at the moment.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and get it all going as if we are going to open. But I can tell you, I guess based on, you guys all know this, the phases that they have implemented, it's going to be kind of hard to have a pool season with social gathering items in there, but we're going to make sure that we get it up and running. That way we don't let it sit idle again for a long time, and we'll just play it by ear.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, and I've been watching some of your emails about soccer season and refunds and such. What is your prediction with rec soccer? Is that something that you're going to have to start worrying about refunding people for?
Right now, as of yesterday, we anticipate giving roughly $6,000 back to those who are wanting a refund right now. As of the spring season, I'm hoping, I've been devising a plan in my head as to how we can have training. There's no way that we can have games just because of the large gatherings that we will have in a given time frame. But I feel that I have it somewhat, put together that we can have training if I line the fields in a different manner, which will allow for the players to individually train on their own. And they still will have that 6 to 10 foot distance in between them. So I'm really trying to work with the parameters that we were given. But I'm also hopeful and taking it week by week and month by month at this time. The majority of the residents and the participants who have paid, they're wanting it to roll over to the fall season. So I am glad about that. But if we aren't able to have a spring season, if we aren't able to have a fall season, we'll take a 50% loss or more with our recreation revenues. And we'll just move on and push towards our spring 2021 season.
The only thing I would ask is to make sure that the communication stays moving with
Okay.
the people. I mean, you've done a great job so far. If you would just, that would be great.
We'll do.
Okay. Anything else from Lanier? Thanks, Lanier.
You.
Chief Brooks is not with us tonight. He did want you all to know that all of the officers are safe and good health. So, and we're just, we have plenty of PPE, and we are business as usual, but we're being safe. So, if you have any questions for the chief, if you want to relay them to me, I'll get you answers. Committee chair reports? Yes, sir?
We need to do a finance committee meeting, so last meeting in May or first meeting in June, Kathy, are those pretty open?
They're open.
Okay, so fellow finance committee members, anybody have a preference? No? The last meeting in May, which would be May 18th, or then 1st June would be June 1st.
June 1.
June 1st? June 1st, okay? Okay, Kathy, June 1st, 6 o'clock, is that okay? Fellas, please? Okay, 6 P, I'll get you Jamie and I, we're gonna get you a purpose.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Any other committee chair reports?
Thanks, Mayor.
All right, you're welcome, sir. Okay. On the other business, got a couple that are staying on the table. Ordinance 2020-4362 for a third reading.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Carter. Kathy, when you're ready, third reading.
Ordinance 2020-4362, this is the third reading, an ordinance creating and establishing 2 crew leader positions within the City of Pataskla Public Service Department.
Discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move that we adopt ordinance 2020-4362.
Second.
You got a motion to adopt by Mr. Barstow, seconded by Mrs. Carter. Discussion? And roll.
Hampshire,
Yes.
Gaelic,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Walther,
Yes.
Epperson,
Yes.
Barstow.
Yes.
Hey, oops, you don't get a vote a second time.
Ordinance passes. On to ordinance 2020-4363 for a third reading.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Carter. Kathy, when you're ready, third reading.
Ordinance 2020-4363, this is the third reading, an ordinance to make supplemental appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020.
Discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move we adopt ordinance 2020-4363.
Got a motion to adopt,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Carter. Discussion? And roll.
Lee,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Walther,
Yes.
Epperson,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Hampshire,
Yes.
Gaelic,
Yes.
Ordinance passes. On to new business. Ordinance 2020-4364 for a first reading.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Epperson. Kathy, when you're ready, first reading, please.
Ordinance, excuse me, ordinance 2020-4364, this is the first reading, an ordinance to create and establish compensation for a new part-time position of employment, Mayor's Court bailiff, within the City of Pataskla, and to amend the 2020-2022 pay matrix for the non-collectively bargained employees for the City of Pataskla, effective for the pay period beginning on and after January 12th, 2020.
Discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Jamie, this will be, for you. And I know, there's been some discussion among leadership, about the numbers for Mayor's Court, the costs, and, what we have budgeted versus what we actually pay. And so I'm, with the understanding that those numbers that, were shared with leadership haven't been shared with the whole of council just yet, what I'm asking you is if we could get something together that would show that. And just, if you could, while you're doing that, I need to know why in 18 and 17's costs, there is not, or I'm sorry, 19 and 18's costs, there's not a prosecuting attorney's salary in there, where it is for all the other years, because it makes a substantial difference.
Absolutely, it does. I was approached by the magistrate and the former mayor's court clerk they felt that that wasn't appropriate for that P&L to be included, and they requested it be removed. That's why it wasn't in those 18 and 19.
Okay, just to be clear though, we pay that, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so it should be in there. So,
In that analysis for the mayor's court, they felt that it stated the actual cost of the court.
well, with all due respect, I don't think that they get a say in what goes in our analysis for what we pay. So I would like to see the real numbers. So if you could get that together so we could, the whole of council could see that, and we can look at those numbers, and to make some educated decisions.
Yeah, what I will do is I will take the December 18 and the December 19 reports and add in that magistrate line back in so you can see the P&L, so you'll have 16, 17, 18, and 19 P&L.
Okay. And I would expect that there will be a lot more questions to these numbers. So I appreciate you getting it together.
I think it's going to be important for us to look at that. I think it's also, Jamie, you said the magistrate numbers, I think it's the prosecutor numbers.
Prosecuting
Not the
attorney
magistrate.
salary.
I may have misspoken. Yeah, it is the prosecutor. The magistrate is the one, the magistrate and mayor's court clerk are the ones who requested it be removed. You're right, it's the prosecutor line.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Any other discussion on 4364? All right, that was the first reading. Ordinance 2020-4365 for a first reading.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Lee. Kathy, when you're ready, the first reading.
Ordinance 2020-4365, this is the first reading, an ordinance creating and establishing the position of Economic Development Director.
Discussion? All right.
Mayor, I do have a quick question on that. This isn't the funding for this is just the position.
This is the position.
So, is that what the funding part means?
Well,
By Jamie.
I mean, the funding, part of the funding is the question on mayor's court. I think that is to me, so these two discussions sort of go together for 4364 and 4365. Let me say, I love mayor's court, practicing mayor's court all the time. I think they're fantastic. They're a great way to resolve low-level disputes, which is what they're statutorily designed to do. However, and Jamie and I had this discussion earlier today, we've had this previously. To me, as a city councilman, the mayor's court doesn't necessarily have to make a profit. If it does, that's nice, but it should be a break-even operation. It should not be, we shouldn't be a New Rome or a Village of Bryce where we are gouging people and trying to make a profit off it. That's not our role. But it also should not be a money loser. If it starts losing substantial amounts of money, and to me, it's time to take a hard look at that function and decide, is this something we need to eliminate? And then take that savings and put it towards something else, economic development director, what have you, whatever the discussion is. So the other thing we have to consider with, if we say, hey, we're going to eliminate mayor's court, we have to think about what the city of Newark is going to charge us to do the cases. Mayor's court's going to get me some information on that. I'm going to try to reach out to Doug Sassen, who's the city law director there, try to get some informal discussion about that, so we have some idea. We also have to consider the cost of sending our officers over to Newark, which is not a long drive, but it's not an insubstantial drive. So over time, it's several moving parts. So this information, we need very good information on what mayor's court is doing. So to me, at this point, this is, for the economic development director position, this is just to authorize the position. We're not putting any money towards it. Quite frankly, I wouldn't be in favor of that because I don't think we have the money right now to put towards it. We just had the discussion earlier from Jamie about we're going to have a finance committee meeting in June about where we are in terms of revenue collection. So we'll just have to see. So that's just my.
Yeah, I think just because, in the job description letter, I didn't have the salary, and I think just for clarity, just because if we were to approve this job description, doesn't mean we funded it. For example, we've got an HR position out there that I think we've even funded that. That was approved and funded.
We budgeted, we've never,
Right,
we've never
but
given
the job description's approved, but we still have an HR director.
Exactly.
We haven't decided to move forward. So I guess my point is I didn't know if we needed to have Jimmy start looking into the funding piece of that.
Well, yeah, that's a discussion I'm going to have with Jamie, and that part of that is getting accurate numbers on mayor's court. I mean, it would appear that in 2016, we paid the prosecutor, Mr. Gazowitz, about $45,000, maybe $44,000 to
part of it, the city had paid for the additional services to prosecute, but that was actually not for mayor's court. That's for the Licking County. At that point in time, that's when there was a transition where our office handled all of the Licking County prosecutor's work and Doug Sasson's office handled none of it. Then, I don't know, we did that for a short, well, I don't know, it was a period of time, and then it went back. So that's why then there was a dramatic loss. So I'll talk to Mel, I'll talk to you offline about like what those numbers really are, because there's not, the legal fees for mayor's court are not very substantial at all on a monthly basis. So if you're looking at a $45,000 number, that was in place of likely what Doug Sasson did. So really what you did is you took away his $40,000 contract and you just paid a different set of prosecutors, Andy from my office, $45,000. So when you took that away, you just put Doug Sasson's $40,000 back in to that slot of the budget. So
The following year, that line was 78,000. In 16, it was 44,000. In 17, it was 78,000. And then it disappears in 18 to 19. It's not, the mayor's court prosecution is not there anymore. In the information we got, I'll share with you.
I guess I just,
So,
that was, let's see what that meant by mayor's court prosecution. That may actually mean Licking County work, not actually here.
But that's, to Mr. Lee's point, that's where we have to have a number. We need to know that, and if we're going to say, oh, well, mayor's court's only losing $3,000 a year, I can live with that as a councilman. I can justify that to the public. Say, hey, you're getting a service here. It's a nice, it's a good court. It's local. You can get these disputes, low-level disputes, resolved relatively quickly, and without the public having to drive over to New York and interface with, in my view, a somewhat hostile environment over at the municipal court. But anyway, but if we're losing 75,000 or 60,000 or some, to me, that's not acceptable. Even if we weren't looking to hire an economic development director, I would still say that's not serving the public well by losing that much money. But we need to know what that number is. So Mr. Nicholson and I will have that discussion through the week, and I'll keep working on getting some numbers, and Mr. Zets will include you in the conversation so you can help us understand exactly what's going on.
Sure.
Okay, we appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Lee, I hope that.
Yeah, I just wanted to start the conversation as far as looking into the second part, because passing the job description is, great, but if we can't fund it, so.
If we can't fund it, we can't fund it. Right. But right now, my view is I don't know how to fund it. But we're looking.
I just didn't know if we want to start looking into that, so.
Well, that part of that is finding out where we can have some savings. I'm sorry, I took over the meeting from there.
All right.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to add something to
Sure.
that. And Tommy, to that point, and because I'm very excited about having that position created.
Yeah.
However, I'm also, when it comes to moving on things, especially with that amount of money, because we're not just talking about a salary, we're talking about benefits and everything. So you're talking at well over $100,000, like 105-ish, somewhere when you add all of that together. So that's why I thought it was very important that we see all of the mayor's court numbers, in addition to looking in other areas, like the HR position that we haven't funded, but to make sure that that position isn't still very necessary. There's a few things that we really need to look at, but I would like to have that lined out for everybody, for the whole council to look at, and so we can have that discussion and compare. In addition to that, with the current situation in our losses in revenue, we need to take that into consideration. We've asked our current directors to, cut back their budgets and their discretionary spending, so it's difficult to justify $100,000+ a year when we've asked our other directors to pull back. So I think we've just got a lot of moving parts that have me a little nervous.
Go ahead, Mr. Hicken.
If I might, I'd like to weigh in a little bit. I want to say two things. I think what I hear everybody saying is something that I'm a big believer in, and that is trust the process. We have a process in place both to look at whether or not a directorship is where we want to go, and we have a process in place to identify possible funds and funding of that position, and it's not just a one-time off, it's multiple times down the road. And so I'm in favor of both of those. Moving forward in that way, I think everything, the discussion about mayor's court is think that's the best way to move forward. So I'm in favor of that.
Any other discussion?
One last thought, Mr. Mayor, and just to add to that, that it's not just necessarily for me to trust the process on this. In addition to that, there's some extra variables that go into our current situation. So that's why I want to make sure that we are thoroughly looking through everything to make sure we make the sound decision. And that everybody has the information they need in front of them to be able to make that decision.
And if we as council all agree, but in favor, we could always pass the job description, but not fund it right now. So the job
Absolutely.
description's there when things stabilize. Maybe that's now, or not now, but soon, or maybe it's just whenever. But at least, we could pass that part essentially like we did the HRA. So.
Any other discussion? All right, on to resolutions. Resolution 2020-029, resolution authorizing and directing the city administrator to accept the bid of and execute a contract with Builderscape, Inc. for construction services for the Liberty Park Improvements Project.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow,
Second?
seconded by Mrs. Carter. Discussion? And roll.
Epperson,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Hampshire,
Yes.
Gaelic,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 2020-036, a resolution authorizing the city administrator to accept the bid of and execute a contract with the Shelley Company for construction services for the 2020 roadway improvements program.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Walther. Discussion? And roll.
Barstow,
Yes.
Hampshire,
Yes.
Gaelic,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Epperson,
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 2020-037, a resolution authorizing and directing the city administrator to execute a contract with Prime Construction Management Survey to provide construction administration and inspection services for the 2020 roadway improvements program.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow,
Second?
seconded by Mrs. Carter. Discussion?
Mayor, I got a question.
Yes.
Alan, quick question for you. You said on this one did not go out for any request for proposals? This was directly solicited, this contract?
That is correct.
And then there's two parts to it, obviously, it's administration and construction inspection. I noticed that we're about 40% over what you had originally budgeted, between $25,000 and $35,000. And I know that the project grew, obviously, by doing these alternates, by 33% or so, roughly. Is there any worthwhile discussion to have with Prime to see if they can, just the same as Chris did with Hall, to look to these guys? We've used them repeatedly. We didn't go out for bid with this. Is there anything they can do to relook at their numbers?
So the first item of note is this is an hourly contract, so we only get billed for the hours expended on it. So I stay heavily involved in this and try and keep their hours as minimal as we can, with obviously still having the full-time inspection. The second thing about it growing is that last year they were actually a little bit over and didn't charge us for that, which was certainly appreciated. And I don't think they're trying to make that up here. I think they're just trying to make sure that they do have enough. So basically, I'm saying my budgeted number was a little low because last year I was a little low. And by the time we found that out, it was after the budgeting process. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes sense, thanks.
So, Alan, they're technically on the job when the construction guys are on the job then, right? That's the only time they're keeping hours?
So I didn't quite hear your question, but I think the inspector is always out there when the contractor is working, and then there's some administration paperwork side of things that they also do.
Okay. Any other questions for Alan? Any other discussion? Kathy, roll please.
Hampshire,
Yes.
Gaelic,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Epperson,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 2020-038, a resolution amending Resolution 2018-022, and thereby adding $35,036.19 for construction of Taylor Road Trail Project.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Carter. Discussion? And roll.
Gaelic,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Walther,
Yes?
Epperson,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Hampshire.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 2020-039, a resolution authorizing and directing the city administrator to execute a contract with OHM Advisors to provide general, as-needed planning services to review and finalize the comprehensive plan.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Barstow,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Lee. Discussion? And roll.
Lee,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Walther,
Yes?
Epperson,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Hampshire,
Yes.
Gaelic,
Yes. Okay, resolution passes. Committee meetings, announcements, scheduling. I just want to, again, congratulate Mr. Gaelic as councilman, and also Mr. Hicken as city administrator. I look forward to working with both of you guys, and let's get to work, right? It's a long process, and let's hit the ground rolling. We'll go around the room. Mr. Barstow, what do you got, anything?
I don't have anything. I didn't see any other additional comments on the Facebook feed. If there are any questions, try to answer those as the meeting went on. So again, congratulations, Mr. Hicken and Mr. Gaelic. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mrs. Carter?
Same, congratulations to Mr. Gaelic and Mr. Hicken. I'm glad that process has come to an end. And that's all done and taken care of. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Everson?
I echo all of that. Congratulations to Brent. Welcome.
Mr. Walter?
Yeah, if you guys had not heard, Governor came on today and announced that the classes will not go back, school kids will not go back K through 12. So I just wanted to wish everybody, including my daughter, who is a senior this year, the class of 2020, I keep saying this at my house, and I hope any of the seniors that I run across, this will make you stronger. It's tough. It's hard for seniors not to get up and be recognized after such a long, arduous journey. But there's still plenty to do. There's plenty of recognition otherwise that they should receive. Tonight at 8:20, they're turning on all of the lights at the different stadiums to recognize seniors. So if you know a senior, please let them know that they've had to sacrifice, and it's acknowledged, but they'll be okay. And then secondly, and I know Jude was involved in this, the couple weekend ago, I guess, with the drive-by, with all the different characters. I don't know how many people. I don't know how we could ever tell how many people drove by with the street being closed and everything. But I'll tell you, it was a great afternoon for everybody to see what Pataskala was about. A lot of characters, So that's a good way to put it. And that's all I have.
If I could just add to something that Mr. Walter said real quick, as I'm largely involved in putting together graduation for Heights, and our seniors are really, really disappointed, obviously. So some of the senior families have gotten together and they did a parade around different homes last evening. But I also had somebody put it to me another way is, while this situation is difficult and, there's no manual on how to navigate it, they've also had the opportunity to spend a substantial amount of time with their senior who's about to leave and embark on the world, time that they wouldn't have had with them otherwise, to sit and play board games or sit around a fire pit in their backyard or whatever it may be. So, which, and I whatever it may be, so.
So just to touch on that, I dragged my daughter out to work on a 1956 Jeep. We've got it all stripped down, we're down, ready to take the body off of the frame, and we're restoring it completely from the frame up. So she's had to learn quite a few things. So you're exactly right, that's the upside. They don't necessarily see it that way.
No, they don't.
I know we do, but they don't. So thank you.
Yeah, a lot of projects are getting done. The hardware stores are extremely busy. And the guy mentioned the other day that he's got a whole pallet of lawnmower batteries where people have brought in, they're really cranking on taking care of their houses and their lawns and projects and restoring, pulling cars out of the barn and restoring them and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it actually is, there is a silver lining there when you think about it, although I really do feel for the seniors, anybody that's in school. Mr. Lee, what do you got?
Just a reminder, we got a development committee on Thursday at 3:30. If, we're going to be talking about possibly scenic view, that may or may not happen. I'll talk to Scott about that. And then section 1 and 2 of the comprehensive plan. Bringing new crop, you've been in this council, you've got questions, or Scott, right, to see most of that progress. So shoot me an email or just call Scott and we can do it that way. I just want to thank the staff. You know, it's been a long few months as far as, you know, in transition. Everybody's really stepped up, and it's been great to see all of you guys, everyone, really, you know, take a little bit more on as we transition into a new city administrator. Tim, congrats. Brandon, congrats. But, a special thanks, Chris, man, I don't know how to say it, but you did an amazing job. And just happened to have a pandemic drop in your lap. So I don't know how you trained for that, but it'll be experience that serves you well moving forward, man. But phenomenal job by everybody. And like the mayor said, time to get to work. So that's all I got.
Mr. Zetz, you got anything?
I do not.
Mr. Galick?
I just want to say congrats to Mr. Hicken, first of all, and then thank you all, council, and reached out to me and talked to everybody. It's been a nice transition, so I'm excited to be here.
Jude, take us home.
Well, I don't have a senior, but my junior couldn't be happier with the situation the way it is. It's as if he chose it himself. So, but the Eagle projects are moving right along because people are able to get out there and work on with their families, so that's going really well. And other than that, it's all good. Guess I'll start rolling out.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Higgin.
I appreciate the Tompkins thing. I don't know if you guys did, but I think Chris deserves a round of applause.
Agreed. I think Mr. Sharrock will be very happy to get back to
They
the
all
product.
deserve it.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And Ms. Hampshire, I'm sorry to steal your thunder. Go ahead.
No, I was pretty much done. I'm used to people named Tim H. cutting in on me.
All right, somebody make a motion.
A motion to adjourn.
Second. Got a motion to adjourn by Mrs. Carter, second by Mr. Barstow. Discussion and roll.
Carter,
Yes.
Walther,
Yes.
Epperson,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Hampshire,
Yes.
Gaelic,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes. Meeting adjourned.